Reading with your kids.
Hola, niho, konnichiwa, assalamu alaikum, shalom, mahaba, moni moli wanji, namaste, jambo, bienvenidos. Hi, my name is Jedley, and this is the Reading with Your Kids podcast. We're coming to you from the beautiful neighborhood of Reedville, in the southwest corner of Boston, Massachusetts. We are so delighted and so very honored that you are joining us in our mission to help families grow closer through reading. Please be sure to subscribe to the show in the iHeartRadio app, on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, Ghana, Himalaya, Good Pods, wherever you find your podcast. Our guest today is Barbara Tibbetts. She is returning to the show to celebrate the latest in her Lookbook Scavenger Hunt series. It's called Nature Walk. Before we invite Barbara into the studio, we want to let you know that this episode of the Reading with Your Kids podcast is brought to you by The Adventures of Harry and Friends, the wonderful picture book series by Sarah Belisa Tucker. Does your child throw frequent tantrums? Do they have to win at everything they try? I Quit is a hugely popular book with parents now experiencing the very same thing. Buy your copy today on Amazon or Barnes & Noble and help your child become more resilient. It's a wonderful, wonderful series. You want to add it to your family library. The Adventures of Harry and Friends, and you can find out more by going to theadventuresofharryandfriends.com. This episode of the podcast is also brought to you by My Mom Has Two Jobs by Michelle Travis. Children start ingraining gender role stereotypes at a very early age, and those societal expectations limit our kids' aspirations. Michelle Travis's picture book, My Mom Has Two Jobs, gives teachers and parents a powerful tool to fight back by inspiring girls to imagine themselves as doctors, engineers, police officers, lawyers, dentists, firefighters, teachers, military sergeants, veterinarians, pilots, and more. And at the same time, My Mom Has Two Jobs celebrates the working moms who support their kids and improve our world every day. My Mom Has Two Jobs is beautifully illustrated to embrace diverse moms and kids and to show the wide range of important roles that women play. Get your copy today. My Mom Has Two Jobs by Michelle Travis. Join us right now from one of the most beautiful spots in the world, the island of Nantucket off the coast of Massachusetts. Our guest is returning to the show. She has a brand new book in her Lookbook series. It's called Nature Walk. Please welcome back to the show, Barbara Tibbetts. Hey, Barbara, how are you?
I am great. I always love talking to you, Jedley.
It is a lot of fun talking together and talking about the Lookbook and all the great things that families can do with it.
Yes. We have the newest book in our series is called Lookbook Nature Walk, and we're finding that people are enjoying it because it's getting them outside. It's getting them looking around, experiencing what nature has to show, and it can be done from anywhere. That's the beauty of it. It can be done in any season. It can be done from anywhere. And we're finding that families as a whole are enjoying it together, especially grandparents. I have many clients that are sending me pictures of them sitting quietly with their grandchildren, reading the book, and then they go out and they take a walk. And this is a book that you don't do it once, like where many of our location-based books, you might go there for the day and complete the book. This one is meant to sort of expand time because you're supposed to go out and enjoy nature. Find that little creature that's crawling along, or find that leaf, or find many different leaves in the way they look and compare them. And different seasons, too, will bring different things. Like here on Nantucket, our wildflowers are absolutely amazing this time of year. And so this is a time of year that the book would be perfect for that page. Yeah. So it's meant to sort of expand time.
You know, you mentioned grandparents loving it. And while I'm not a grandparent yet, I'm definitely in that age demographic. And I think it can be difficult for grandparents and kids to kind of find ways to be active together. You know, I was mentioning to you earlier that my niece just graduated high school. I loved spending time with her, but she wanted me to be out and skating with her and playing soccer and playing basketball, and that was fun, but I am almost 100 years old, and she didn't always remember that, and she would knock me around like I was 17. This sounds like a really great way for grandparents to get out there, to be active and not just sitting around the house watching a movie together, although there's nothing wrong with that, but just to get outside and get into nature and to introduce our grandkids to the wonders that exist all around us.
And I think nature brings us together when we explore nature, we're not judgmental either. Mm-hmm. It's like nature is. And we can discuss how nature affects us today, how nature is going to affect us in the future, or just enjoy it, like a day at the beach. Mm-hmm. Yeah. A day at the beach, a couple beach pages in there. Although I'd like to do a book called A Walk on the Beach. That would be fun too. But this allows you to really just enjoy as opposed to worrying about everything around you.
Yeah. I feel like sometimes I was just taking a walk. We live next to a wildlife sanctuary here in beautiful Reedville, and there's a beautiful hiking trail through the sanctuary. It's called Fowl Meadow, and it's really lovely. But I find myself sometimes when I'm on that hike, I'm just kind of hiking, like to get through it, and I really have to stop and be intentional to slow myself down a little bit and to start to notice everything and be aware of the little creatures that are all around me. And that's when those hikes are really wonderful. And it sounds like the lookbook is perfect for getting us into that mindset.
Absolutely. I have a friend who has had the book and has shared lots of stories with me about time with her granddaughter, and her granddaughter was asked to go play golf with her grandfather. And she said, no, I need to go on a nature walk with Grammy. And that moment, I think my friend was so happy to be able to spend time with her granddaughter, not just one day, right? Many days. And they were stopping and they were looking around. And she sent me wonderful pictures of her granddaughter holding a leaf and comparing it to what was in the book. And I, again, it slows us down, just like you said, rather than just getting through that hike. It slows us down, makes us really focus on what we're seeing around us. Mm-hmm. I think that's a very important thing to remember, to slow down and enjoy.
And I think, too, it would be really fun to do the nature walk in different places. You could take the nature walk in Fowl Meadow and, find the different things in the book, and then take it and take the lookbook on a hike on the beach and just compare. What were the leaves we found in Fowl Meadow? What did we find down on the beach? What's different? What's alike? Just have that kind of comparison.
Oh, I love that. The book actually, the pictures from the book actually are from, a lot of them are from a 6-week road trip I took with my daughter across the U.S. And so when you say it can go to different places, it absolutely can. And many of the pictures in the book were actually her pictures. It was a collaboration between the two of us. Usually I'm the one who takes the pictures, but in this case, she's does beautiful nature photography. So I called upon her to share the pictures with me. And we did go across the U.S., and these pictures do come from all over the U.S. So exactly that. You can compare the beaches here to the beaches in California, or there's a geyser in there. Like a geyser I would not find here on Nantucket, obviously. Mm-hmm. But then again, maybe a child would be walking along and see a sprinkler come up and think, is that a geyser? Like there's an opportunity for a discussion about the difference in nature and the difference in what man puts in or something like that. And that's really what the lookbook is about, is conversations, mm-hmm. is building lasting memories and conversations with the people that we care about and want to spend time with.
Yeah. Remind me where the inspiration for the lookbook came from.
There comes my daughter again. It comes from a brownie trip we took to the island of Nantucket many, many years ago, before I lived here full time. And I needed something to teach the girls about the island, so I created a little black and white scavenger hunt booklet. We had pencils back then to cross off the items. The stickers came into the picture because then they're not lost. Mm-hmm. They're right attached to the book, and you can find them in the back of the book. But what happened after that weekend is I thought about it and realized the moms were relaxed and enjoying their time on the island too, because the girls were so engaged in the scavenger hunt in a book that they weren't being tugged on, saying mommy, mommy, mommy. They were just really enjoying where they were, focusing on the location that they were at and learning about it. So that's where the idea came from. And then I learned to write and publish. And here I am with over 20 books in a series.
Yeah, and most of but you were mentioning most of the books are location specific. I know the Freedom Trail is featured here in Boston and Plymouth,
Yes.
Massachusetts. Tell us some of the other areas that you cover in the Lookbook series.
Well, we have one as far as Texas, the Alamo, and then we have Savannah, Georgia, and we have St. Augustine, Florida. And then we have quite a few books that are based in Massachusetts, Nantucket being one where I live. And then we also have Battle Road, which is Concord, Lincoln, and Lexington, Massachusetts. And you mentioned a couple of the other ones. And then we also have Historic Virginia, which is Jamestown, Yorktown, and Williamsburg. And we have a book in Philadelphia as well, Historic Philadelphia and Gettysburg. As you can tell, we're history heavy with our books because it is a learning tool as well as an exploration tool and a tool to connect. So those are, I think I've covered them.
Yeah.
Off the top of my head, those are all the ones that I remember. And I've enjoyed making each one, and I'm looking forward to exploring now that we can get out and about again, more locations to add to the series.
Yeah. I think that this would be a great tool for a classroom or for a teacher. My wife, I've mentioned that my wife just retired after teaching for 34 years in the Boston Public Schools, and I would oftentimes be asked to help chaperone a field trip. And a lot of times we'd get to a place and the kids would just get off the bus and they would run and they would be through a museum or an apple picking. It'd be over in 10 minutes, to say, shoom, they just run through. And I think that the lookbook would be a really great way to help them slow down a little bit, help the field trip become more intentional and a little bit more real, more memorable for the kids, I think.
And then they go home with something that reminds them of it, and they can further explore that location by what they saw in the book too. I definitely have had teachers use the book for field trips, and I recently did, when I launched this book, one of the people on my launch team was actually a first grade teacher. It was actually my son's first grade teacher many years ago, and the praise that she gave in the book really touched my heart because she was in that age every day, right? Working with that age every day. And she felt that was such an important book for the kids. I mean, that book actually, the Nature Walk, the most recent one, can also be used the entire year in a science curriculum. So it's, a few dollars well spent to engage the children and then have them walk away with a memory. I mean, imagine pulling that book out 10 years later, remembering what you learned and the experiences you had and the memories that made you stop and look and listen. Yeah, really fun. You mentioned Historic Philadelphia. Is the Liberty Bell part of that scavenger hunt book? Yes.
Okay, quick story about the Liberty Bell. We went down there, my daughter was 4, and it was a hot summer day. And we were waiting in line in the hot sun, and the line was long and the wait was long. We finally got inside the building. There it is, right? The Liberty Bell right on the front.
Cover. It's right on the cover.
So we get inside the hall, and the park ranger it just wanted us to have this very solemn, reverential kind of feel. And so everybody was very, very quiet. My daughter, 4 years old, snuck up to the front of the group of people there right in front of the Liberty Bell. And she looked at it and she turned to me and she said, "We waited in the sun all that time. This thing's broken."
Oh my goodness. Just love that.
Yes, the guy didn't love it at all, but the other people in the group loved it a lot.
Well, but that also leads you to a discussion about why. Why is it like this, right?
Right.
And that's the amazing thing about children is they see the world so differently. And that's why a lot of people, when they do the scavenger hunt, they're sort of like, "Oh, it's a scavenger hunt." I'm like, no, listen to the way the children view this. They view it so differently, and you can learn so much from them, as well as teach them because of the way they're viewing things. But it really does children fascinate me.
Yeah.
That is a great story. I love it.
Well, you make a really good point that I think we need to, especially as parents and grandparents, we really need to remember for our own sake. It's kids allow us to look at the world in a very different way. They have a very different perspective. And if we take the time to be mindful and to listen to them, it can really open up our eyes and really help us grow closer together with our kids.
Yes. That's what we hope and we believe that the Lookbook does, is it helps families to grow closer, to understand each other, to have conversations that bring about so many important things in our life, just to enjoy each other and the closeness of family. Yeah. Right. I love doing a podcast with you, Jedley. You just look at things in such a lot of times a childlike way, but we all want that, right? We all want to look as children do. Children aren't worried about the laundry. They're not worried about making sure we have the groceries in the refrigerator. They can just be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm wondering, I guess I'm reinforcing that child image of myself. Any talks of connecting with Elon Musk and maybe doing a lookbook for Mars? Or
I love that idea. I bet I would get some good publicity if I did it with Elon Musk. Absolutely. I don't know if I want to go to Mars, but maybe we could get someone who could take some pictures and bring them back.
There you go. Well, speaking of future editions of the book, you said you had 20 books out there now. Any locations that you're looking at, or are there any other we can do this scavenger hunt anywhere type, like the Nature Walk is in the works?
Definitely there are several. And I would love to hear from my listeners if they have ideas of a place that they feel would benefit from a book. Like they have history there, or they have some really cool things that they really enjoy. So I'd love for them to reach out and tell me that. But the next one I'm working on is the Lookbook Beach Day, I think is what I'm going to call it. I'm still working out Beach Day. And a lot of these ideas actually came from a focus group I did with a homeschooling group of parents. And they're the ones who sort of talked to me through about what it is they're looking for and what it is that they feel would make good topics. So I love to hear from the people that are actually enjoying my books. Yeah. I have some I'm trying to do one in each state. So I'm working on a book in Portsmouth, and I'm working on a book in Maine, in Portland, and then one in Connecticut, Mystic Seaport. So I have lots in the works. Since I'm based in Massachusetts, those locations are a little easier for me to get to. But I do like to travel, so more than willing to move about and learn about other areas.
That's wonderful. I don't know if there are enough things remaining to do a full scavenger hunt book, but here in beautiful Reedville, in the Reedville neighborhood of Boston, it was the home of the Massachusetts 54th Regiment, the first all-black regiment in the Army that fought in the Civil War, and they trained 2 blocks away from my home. And right now their parade ground is a playground, and it's called Camp Meigs, and there are a few little monuments there, and our backyard could be part of it because our backyard was the landfill for the Army troops at the time. And
wow!
We're constantly getting our broken bottles coming up.
I was wondering. That was my next question for you. I actually have been looking at doing some more in Boston, and the Heritage Trail that exists in Boston. That it is very important to the history of our country and reminding people about slavery and what that has done with our culture.
Yeah.
And so I've looked into that one as well, been researching that one.
That's wonderful. That's really wonderful. Hey, if somebody is listening to this and they think, wow, Bari, you have to come to Sarasota, you have to come to Austin, you have to come to Spokane. What's the best way for them to get in touch with you to make that suggestion?
I would say you could go to my website, and that gives you a lot of information there, and it is thelookbookhunt.com, or you can reach out to me through email at thelookbook10 lookbookbeach@gmail.com, or you can find me on LinkedIn, of course, and Twitter. I'm Barbara Tibbetts on Twitter and Instagram. We have a couple of Instagram pages. We've got the Lookbook Hunt, as well as we've got one for Hunter the Owl. And we also have one, a new one that I've started that I'm revealing now is called Bubby's Books. So I'm doing some reading of books on that Instagram page, just to give parents sort of a little bit of a break. They can sort of just sit and hear the story themselves. And the books, some of them have to do with my scavenger hunts, and some of them are just books that I really enjoy. Because what I learned over COVID is to think about what we really enjoy. And I realized I really miss being around the children, and I really loved reading to them. And so I felt, well, I don't have grandchildren yet either. So I felt like I still love to read books, and I'm hoping that this new Instagram page will allow my voice to get out there and for people to enjoy listening. I know that people are listening to you. When you said hopefully people are listening, because I listen to you, and I don't have grandchildren. I'm learning about books, but I love learning about the books that you put out there, as well as the authors, and I love hearing their stories. So thank you for all that you do to put these books in the hands of others.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you for creating the Lookbook series, and thank you for being with us to talk all about this the latest book, Nature Walk.
Thank you.
Yeah, we've been talking with the author of the Lookbook series, Barbara Tibbetts. Barbara, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you, Jedley, and happy hunting.
Please be sure to join us for the next episode of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. Our guest will be Heather Lynn Davis. Heather's returning to the show to celebrate Jake the Ape Makes a Lot of Mistakes. You may remember that Heather was on the program in the past to celebrate Into Justin World. Heather is a fascinating woman. She is the mom of 8. 6 of the 8 were adopted. And one of those 8 is a child or now adult, with severe special needs. Talk about a woman who loves and is sharing that love with folks who really need it. That's the next episode of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. Hey, if you are the author of a fantastic children's book, we would love to help you celebrate that book. There's so many ways we can help you celebrate your book. You can be a guest here on the podcast and in a long-form conversation, tell the world all about your book, about you, about your inspiration. Great way to build your brand. You can also submit your book to our Certified Great Read panel. If they believe that your book is worthy of 4 or 5 out of 5 stars, it becomes a certified great read, and with that status comes a number of really powerful tools that can help parents know that your book is worthy to be in your family library. You can also take part in our monthly promotion program. We will promote your book through commercials on the podcast, through messages to our 97,000 plus social media followers, and also display your book on our nationwide network of digital pedestrian billboards. Check it out today. Go to readingwithyourkids.com, click on the author's Click Here button at the top of the page, and scroll on down to learn all about the different ways we can help the world know about your book. I want to thank the folks who made today's show so wonderful. Of course, we want to start by thanking our guest, Barbara Tibbetts. Please be sure to check out the Lookbook Scavenger Hunt series. Also want to thank our sponsors, The Adventures of Harry and Friends by Sarah Belisa Tucker, and also My Mom Has 2 Jobs by Michelle Travis. Also want to thank my team, Fatima Khan, Rory Grady, Nicole Bell Castro, Ashley Contreras, Mirabella Q, Rain Penn. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all the support she gives me. Most of all, we all want to thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today, and as always, thank you so very much for taking the time to make the world a better place by reading with your kids. I'll be looking for you in the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast.